Hi, it's Saturday afternoon. It's September 20th, and I'm in the office, as you can tell. I'm in my t-shirt, as you can tell. And why am I here on a Saturday? Because I work every day. And is that a problem? Not really, because I like working. So I don't mind working. I have to come in to do a little bit of administrative things. We've got more new employees starting on on Monday, so I've got to get my stuff together. But I've already had a productive morning. I went to the gym and did my thing, and if I have to work for a couple hours, that's how it goes. But when we're rated one of the top criminal defense law firms in the entire state, you got to work. You got to work 7 days a week. Does that mean you have to work all day? Not really. But do you have to work every day for a few hours? Sure. But it's not a big deal. I was combing through TMZ, which I do every morning. Why? Because when I shoot these videos, I don't like to shoot boring videos on what happens with the DUI and some yap boring stuff that most lawyers talk about. So I want to talk about something topical. If you've been following the news, or unless you live under a rock, there's a lot of news in the past week and a half about Charlie Kirk. And then the big news coming this week is the firing of, or not firing, excuse me, but I think it's the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel for making some remarks about Charlie Kirk and Donald Trump and the Republicans. So I won't get into that. I'm not going to take a position either for or against or whatever. I want to stay neutral. But what I did see and what I do know is that a lot of people are pissed. A lot of people are pissed about Charlie Kirk, rightfully so. A lot of people are pissed about Jimmy Kimmel, rightfully so. And I did see that in Sacramento yesterday, this 64-year-old lady, her name is Anibal Hernandezsantana. She drove by an ABC 10 station out of Sacramento, and she fired 3 rounds into the building or the office, and there were employees there, and they could have been struck, and thank God nobody was struck. But she's been arrested, facing a $200,000 bond, and I believe she's being charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, which I don't know in California. I don't know how it works. It's probably the most liberal state that we have. So comparing Arizona to California is like comparing apples to oranges. So I have no clue. But I will tell you, let's start with the bond, the $200,000 bond. How bond works is it can be cash or it could be secured. If it's cash, it's cash. So arrested on $200K bond, you've got to go to the court and say, here's my $200,000. And then your loved one or whomever it is can get out. If it's a secured bond, you can go through a bonds company and post 10% of the bond. Again, secured bond, you can post 10%. So in this case, $200,000. You go to a bonds company, you say, Mr. Bondsman, here's my 10%, $20,000. But the bondsman said, hey, you need to show collateral. So a house, a car, well, not many people have $200,000 cars, but a house, retirement funds, whatever, something that they can secure. So if you don't show up to any of your court appearances, they're not on the hook for the $180,000 left over. Usually, if somebody does a secured bond and they put their house up as collateral, the bonds company will put some form of ankle monitor on them to make sure they are showing up to court, because they don't want to be out, right? And even though it's a secured bond, so they can get the sort of lien against the house or collect on the house, that is a pain in the ass. So they always put a GPS. And if somebody does skip out, well, the bonds companies, and we worked with 2 of the biggest ones here in the state, they will get a bounty hunter and find somebody and hunt them down to make sure they come back, because they don't want to be out the money, and they'll spend good money on it. So if they're on the hook for a couple $100,000, or we've got cases for $1 million, bonds company doesn't mind spending $20, $30, $40, $50,000, so they're not out the money. So anyways, that's what Miss Anibal Hernandezsantana is being charged with, and that's her bond. In Arizona, if this were to have happened in Arizona, and she discharged at a building, not a car, being charged with a class 3 felony, which is considered dangerous aggravated assault. If she has no prior criminal history, she could be looking at a presumptive sentence of 7.5 years. And that means that if she goes in front of the judge and says, Judge, I want to plead guilty to aggravated assault, the judge would say, I'm going to start at a sentence of 7.5. If you provide sufficient mitigating information, and I feel inclined, I could go as low as 5. But then again, if I'm pissed off and the state provides what's called aggravating factors, it could go as high as 15. So the range is anywhere from 5 to 15 years in prison on the class 3 aggravated assault, if it were to have happened in Arizona. But of course it didn't. It happened in the most liberal state of all, California. I love California, but I don't know what they do for laws. It's very, very different than Arizona. But everyone, you got to be smart about this stuff. You can be upset, but violence is never the answer. Using a weapon is never the answer. Being that our office is in Phoenix, they're having a big Charlie Kirk Memorial Sunday, and you're within your right if you want to go and celebrate his life. You're within your right if you're upset and you want to protest or whatever. But I saw that somebody did get arrested today for bringing a gun around the area. You cannot bring a gun around the area. So be smart. Enjoy the celebration if you're going. If you're going to protest, enjoy your protest. I really don't care either way. What I do care is if people have a freedom of speech, whether they want to speak on behalf of Charlie or they want to speak not on behalf of Charlie or on behalf of Jimmy, whatever. I believe in freedom of speech, but I don't believe anyone should use violence as a weapon or to exercise their freedom of speech. And that's what I have to say for today. So she's being charged with aggravated assault. She's probably going to prison. If she has prior, she's going to prison for a very, very long time. I don't know her citizenship. She's probably a United States citizen. If not, she's probably going to get deported. There she was upset about a situation, and she handled it the wrong way, and she discharged a weapon, and now she's going to have to face the consequences of going to prison. And this may be a situation where she hires a lawyer, and the lawyer's not trying to get her out of it, because I do get that question all the time. How do you get somebody out? Well, that's not always the goal. Our goal is, if a range is 5 to 15, I don't want her to get 15. I'm going to try to get her closer to 5, but more than likely she's going to prison. Hey guys, if you watch this video and you like what you hear, and I am the owner of the largest criminal defense law firm in Arizona. It's a 10-lawyer firm. I'm here to answer whatever questions you have. Subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment in the comment, or if there's something you want me to discuss in the news, leave a comment. Harvey from TMZ. I love TMZ. If you ever need me on the show, I'm always available. If you want me to be a Phoenix correspondent or whatever, chime in. I know you're a lawyer too, so you've got that legal experience, but I've been doing this for a very long time, and I would love to chime in, not just if Harvey needs me, but if anybody else needs my advice. Again, my name is Matt Lopez, and I wish you all have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.